This is John Garcia Jr. with Fox Sports and Scout.com here with the newest Alabama commitment, Josh Casher, St. Paul's Episcopal. You got a big game tonight against UMS Wright, but let's focus on the big news of the week. Tuesday, huge day for you. Not only do you get presented your Under Armour All-American jersey, so congrats on that. Then a few hours later, big news drops that you commit to Alabama. You were open on the open market for a few months after decommitting from Auburn. So take me through Tuesday. I mean, what was that like to get the All-American jersey, to know that you're in that game with your teammate Trey Williams, and then later on you're like, you know what, I'm just going to commit to Alabama?
You know, one thing that I didn't want to do, I didn't want to take away from the ceremony of getting our Under Armour jerseys. So I was like, I guess I'll go ahead and announce it later. So, but getting the jerseys, that was so rewarding. That was like amazing. I got chills because I never thought that, hey, you can call when you graduate high school, you can say I was an All-American.
Right.
So that's amazing to say. But it doesn't stop me from working hard. I'm still working harder just as much as my teammate. And committing to Alabama, I guess that was the icing on the cake. That's funny. I'm committing to the University of Alabama. So that's amazing. That I grew up an Alabama fan. I went through a lot with recruiting and stuff like that. And my family, they helped me a lot through it. It was really, they helped me, decide and stuff like that. But not so much decide, but they helped me, sort things out. Well,
right.
Josh,
that's what they're for.
They kind of just helped me out.
Right.
So when I came to them, it was so fun. They didn't was like, well, hey, Bama would be a great choice for you.
So there wasn't pressure from them.
I just really, after that weekend that I spent with Auburn, I came back and I was like, you know what? It was, I said, you know what? I'm gonna give Bama a chance, because the coaches were trying to contact me over and over. So I talked to them at school and things like that. So when I went home, I said, Mom, I think I'm giving them a chance. Dad, I think I'm gonna give them a chance. I said, I think I might be attending the University of Alabama. And I called the coach and everything like that. And he was fired up. Coach Steele, he was fired up. And Coach Thompson was fired up. And ever since then, I've just had a smile on my face. I've had so many people congratulate me and just been like, wow, we think you're going to be a great fit at Alabama. And, that's amazing to say, simply because it's so, if you look at it the wrong way, you can be like, oh, my goodness, I'm going to Alabama. It's going to be so crazy. It's going to be so tough. But I'm so excited about going. It's just going to be so amazing, so much fun. I look at it more as being fun. Working hard, I just that's gonna come.
Right.
I
want anywhere too.
Yes, sir. You're gonna have to work your butt off. So if you take that away, and don't look at it as like Bama, you're gonna have to grind your butt off, because I feel like that's a given. You got to do that anywhere you go. But I look at it more as an amazing opportunity to play for your state, and just to have a great time. You're meeting great athletes, and you're going to be surrounded and playing with amazing athletes who really have that desire to win, as well as to develop as a player just as much as you do.
Now, you talked about the winning tradition at Alabama, and here at St. Paul's, there's this Alabama pipeline. We know about the guys from back in the day, but even more recently, Mark Barron, A.J. McCarron, who's still on the team now. Have you heard from any of them, or what do you know about them and their legacy here, and kind of how it translated to Alabama, and how do you want to kind of make your own mark?
Well, they definitely have a legacy here. Trey Williams, my teammate, I said he's definitely going to be gunning for it. But, every time you turn around, when people talk about amazing athlete, if not the greatest athlete, they talk about Mark Barron. They're going to talk about Mark Barron, and I think Trey has a great chance because they play similar positions. Right. They play the same position, and they compare those two a lot, how great they play. And, Mark is someone who really could do anything. The one thing that I hate since I've been at St. Paul's, I haven't got to meet him.
Okay.
I haven't got
He's
to
a little
meet him.
busy right now.
Yeah, he's a little busy doing his thing in the NFL, but I was able to meet AJ and, talk to him on different occasions, and he seemed like a good person. One thing I don't judge people if I don't get to know them. So, I like talking to him, and, he briefly talked to me about Alabama. He didn't go into NW. He said, hey, Cash, it'll be a great place for you. It's people that's leaving and stuff like that. And that was actually months and months ago.
So was that kind of in your head, this last week when you were figuring it all out? Did you kind of, that was a little part of it, like the guys leaving on the offensive line potentially, and AJ's this pipeline, kind of that whole notion, did that kind of stick with you, or was that just a really small part?
It really was a really small part. I didn't really start thinking about it till I started talking back to the coaches. And, when I started talking back to Coach Cristobal, it was like, wow. It was like, we really never stopped contacting each other.
Right.
Because we just got a connection. And it's always been there from the first time I met him, in the office. I said, "What's up, Big Daddy?" And, he really embraced me.
Right.
And, he just seems like a really good coach. And, I believe the coaches there are really good. I believe they do care about the players, but at the same time, they want perfection.
Yeah, it's about winning. Let's talk about this offensive line class. You mentioned Coach Cristobal. Obviously, unprecedented 7 current commitments on the offensive line alone. Number 1 tackle, number 1 center, top 5 center projection. You play tackle now. 5-star JUCO, right tackle. I mean, there's so many guys. And off camera, you were telling me that while some people might look at that as a scary thing, you're excited about that because it could be the best group ever.
And I really think that it could be the best group ever. Here you got the top 2 centers in the country. You got JC and I think that's going to be amazing, and I don't look at it, so much as, well, on this website, he's number 1, on this website, I'm number 1. I don't look at that. I just look at it as, hey, this guy's going to help me push myself. He's going to help me take my game to a new level. And then, you got Cam. He's the number 1 tackle. You got the number 1 guard. I think his name is Vianney. And he's so I couldn't pronounce that name.
Hey, what about Ross Pierschenbacher?
And Ross, I don't know what
Ross
he's
P.
playing. Ross P. And, he's one of the top linemen, too. And then you got the JUCO. It's just, I really think that this class is something special. I think we're going to get along with each other very well, And I really haven't been able to meet any of them. And, I'm really excited about meeting them, getting to know them because, hey, we're going to be going in those trenches together. And, at my school, I think there's nothing better than an offensive line. Offensive line unity is like nothing else because if something bad happens with one of us, everything's going to happen bad. That's just how I feel. Right. And I feel like, on the offensive line, you got to play with chemistry and you got to feed off one another.
And how does versatility help with that? You've worked as an interior guy for college, kind of projecting yourself, but you also play tackle here at St. Paul's, and there's a lot of other guys on the commitment list that are like that. Vianney, Ross P, JC, all those guys. So how much does that actually help you, not only in competing, but really just being able to kind of play more than one position to adapt and kind of plug a hole if they need you to? I think that's amazing. It shows you being versatile, and you're not no stranger if coach puts you right here, hey, you're not like, what am I supposed to do? Like, you got the basics down. Hey, I played this before, this and that, what's to play? I know I run it. So I think, I think playing guard and playing tackle is a good thing for me, even though I'm 6'1", so I'm not going to play tackle in college. Well, yeah.
No, I'm not going to play tackle. But at least I know, hey, I know what that tackle's thinking. I know what's going through his mind. I know how to pass that. I know what it's like being on that island. And, that's why you get so many, when it comes to the number 1 lineman, most of the time they are tackles because it's a tough position, and it's so funny, if you can pass that at tackle, you're going to be a great lineman.
Yep.
And, it's really good to be versatile and know how to play different positions because I feel like it brings so much more value to the team.
So we know about the current guys, but this is recruiting. Let's have some fun now. Everyone wants to know who's next for Alabama, who's next at St. Paul's, who's next everywhere. Now, you got a couple connections to who might be next. One, you mentioned Trey Williams on your team. There's a lot of talk about, now that Casher is committed, how much is he going to work on Trey? So I want you to touch on that, but I also want you to touch on your little brother, kind of let people know a little bit about him and his potential a couple years down the road.
As far as my brother, I really believe that he has a chance to be way better than I am. And, and I want him to be. I want him to be the best lineman that he can be. As far as athletic ability, he has that. He has that. Like,
we're talking Darius Whitfield.
Darius Whitfield. He's always been more athletic than me. And, it's always been funny, like, how he can play baseball and, he stopped playing, but how he can dribble a basketball almost as good as a point guard.
Wow.
And it's just so funny. He's always been athletic and good, But, I told him this earlier this year. I told him really earlier this week. I said, the thing that'll separate you from being great because you have the tools. You're going to have the tools, but hard work. Do not let your work ethic separate you from being the best lineman that you can be, because I can see it. You're going to be great. But one thing about it, never make up in your mind, I'm already great. Never be satisfied with yourself. And as far as Trey, I honestly think Trey is solidly committed to Auburn. Right. You know, I think that's a good fit for him. You know, and I think he's going to do well there. And, you know, I just know it's going to be crazy at this school when we both step on the field together. You know, one's at Auburn, one's at Alabama, and it's not even just us playing against each other.
Block them.
Yes, these are this is the biggest rivalry in college football.
Right.
So you know it's crazy. That's going to be amazing. This school probably going to shut down when that happens.
And going forward now, like you said, everything kind of just trended towards Alabama. You committed there now a couple of days ago. What's next with recruiting? Are you completely shutting it down? Are you still going to talk to schools, or are you kind of hoping they back off a little bit?
Well, to be honest, I know where I'm going to school, it's going to be at Alabama. It's no reason to even try to go and look at other schools. You know, that's why I decided to go ahead and make my decision, because from one, I wanted to just really be not so much done with recruiting as far as, you know, going to visit Alabama or anything like that. But I really just want to be like, hey, this is the school that I'm going to go to. You know, that's where I plan on being. You know, like the Alabama-LSU game, I'm going to go to that. You know, I'm probably going to take my official visit to Alabama, but that's where I'm going to be. That's where I plan on being.
So maybe Josh will meet some of those offensive linemen that he was talking about earlier. But we appreciate the time. Josh Casher at St. Paul's Episcopal. I'm John Garcia Jr. for Fox Sports Next and Scout.com.